are confusing. I'm confusing, you're confusing. We're just this big mass of cells and blood and bones and fears and desires, and it's really beautiful and also really frustrating all at the same time. That's why I think figuring out your personality can be a really helpful tool when you're navigating the world. If you don't know who I am, hello, I'm Abby, and I'm here to help you discover you. If you want to learn more about the Enneagram and other personality types, make sure you're subscribed to this channel for new videos every week. In this video, I'm doing a deep dive into the Enneagram so that you can understand the liberating power of this personality typing system. The Enneagram theorizes that there are 9 different personality types in the world and that each type is driven by underlying motivations. Nobody really knows where the Enneagram first came from, but what we do know is that it is ancient. It is definitely older than the bag of spinach that's been in the back of my fridge for a long time. Yeah. So even though we don't really know how the Enneagram really began, here are a couple of ways that the Enneagram could have made its way from history to you. Number 1, Christian monk Evagrius created the teachings which later became the 7 deadly sins. The core weaknesses of each Enneagram type stem from the 7 deadly sins. Number 2, you can find elements of the Enneagram in Sufism and Judaism. Number 3, philosopher Oscar Ichazo modernized the Enneagram when he created the Erica School. His student Claudio Naranjo brought those teachings to America in the 60s. Number 4, a Catholic Jesuit priest, Father Robert Ox, taught the Enneagram at Loyola Seminary and brought it into the Christian mainstream. At the end of the day, we don't really know where the true origins of the Enneagram began, but we do know that those teachings are now studied and practiced all over the world. One mistake that sometimes happens when discovering the Enneagram is using it to judge people. And I get it. It's tempting to use what you've learned as a weapon. Ugh, I hate when 2s stick their nose into other people's business. She's just a competitive 3. Instead, I encourage you to use the Enneagram to understand yourself in a deeper way. Think of it as a personal guide to your heart. The way that the Enneagram is visualized is through this 9-pointed geometric symbol. The Greek origins of the word Enneagram is ennea, which means 9. There are 9 types in the circle, and grammos, which means something that is written or drawn. You'll notice that each number is connected to 2 others by lines across the circle. This is important because these lines indicate a relationship with other numbers on the Enneagram. This is something that I personally really love about the Enneagram. Our personalities are not set in stone, they're fluid. Though our core number stays the same, which means I still have the same core motivations, you also have access to the other numbers that you're connected to depending on whether you're in growth or in stress. For example, an Enneagram 4 moves towards the traits of an average to unhealthy type 2 when they're feeling stressed. They can become codependent and possessive in relationships. On the other hand, when they're in alignment, an Enneagram 4 moves along the lines towards the healthy side of a type 1. They will become more balanced and grounded with a better focus on their day-to-day tasks. I also want to note that there's 2 more paths that your Enneagram number can travel along those lines, and that's the blind spot path and the converging path. Now, when you're first discovering the Enneagram, I don't really think you need to think about this, but I want to let you know that they're there and tell you what they mean. So the blind spot path is where you go in stress when you're around people that you feel super comfortable with, because you're gonna act differently around your mom than you act around your boss. And the converging path is where you go in growth when you're accessing the healthiest qualities of all your connecting numbers. Basically, the converging path means you're killing it. So you may be wondering what makes the Enneagram different than all those other personality assessments out there. Well, the Enneagram focuses less on external behavioral outcomes and more on internal motivations. For example, if you're weeping uncontrollably because you dropped your lovingly made lasagna on the kitchen floor, you might use the Enneagram to ask yourself, why am I feeling this devastated? Now, I bet a big reason why you're crying on the floor is because the lasagna was delicious, but it could also be linked to your fear of being incompetent or your really strong desire to be loved and appreciated. By looking at your core fear, desire, weakness, and longing, the Enneagram helps uncover what makes you think, behave, and feel the way that you do. Each type employs their skills and strengths to go after their core desires while also hiding from their fears and trying to cover up their weaknesses. So now I'm going to take you through the 9 personality types so that you can get a better idea of which type you might be. Now, this is not a comprehensive view of each number because there is a lot going into every number, so I'm going to give you a general overview, and then if any type resonates deeply with you, I highly encourage you to go do your own research. The basic desire of an Enneagram Type 1 is to have integrity and to be good. They strive for perfection in all things, and they're afraid of making a mistake because they have this really strict inner critic who is constantly telling them that they need to be better. Ones are ethical and conscientious people who go through the world saying, things must improve and I must improve them. That's why their core fear is being wrong or evil. A Type 1's core weakness is resentment, meaning their dissatisfaction with the world can lead to simmering anger against themselves and others.
Your tag is sticking out. You just want to stick it back in there.
Did you really take the car to the car wash? Because it's filthy.
No, I can't watch Love is Blind with you because the sink is full of dishes. How can I watch Love is Blind when the sink is full of dishes? I need to wash the dishes.
Deep down, their core longing is to know that they are truly good. Type 2s approach life with a core desire to be loved, wanted, and appreciated, with a core fear of being rejected. They are thoughtful and generous people with an eerily accurate way of guessing what your needs might be. When they're feeling stressed, Type 2s can struggle with feeling overly people-pleasing and putting other people's needs above their own.
Are you hungry? I'll cook for you.
Babe, are you mad at me? Do you want kids? I want 5, maybe 6.
Okay, 8. I want 8 kids.
Their core weakness is pride, which, yes, I know it sounds crazy because 2s appear so selfless. But the pride of a 2 comes into play when they believe that others are more needy than they are and that they alone know what's best. 2s struggle with believing that they are enough just the way they are. That's why an Enneagram 2's core longing is to know that they are wanted and loved. Type 3s are motivated by the desire to be successful and admired. Because of this, they highly value productivity and efficiency. They go after goals the way that your dog probably goes after mud puddles after getting a bath. When a Type 3 is not doing well, they can be impatient and frustrated. An unhealthy Type 3 will have a lot of trouble processing what's going on internally, what's going on emotionally, but they're not going to show you that. Oh no, because a core weakness of the Enneagram 3 is deceit. This means that they will hide their true self from the world while performing the song and dance that they're happy and admirable and super successful.
Off to work, off to a networking event. Bye, I'm going on a date with a super hot guy named John.
An Enneagram 3's core longing is the thing that they have been striving to hear their entire life. Somewhere along the way when they were a little kid, they received the message that they were only worthy of love based off their accomplishments. So their core longing is to know that they are loved just for being who they are. Type 4s approach the world creatively with a core desire of being unique and authentic. They value connecting on deeper levels, and they have the unique ability to see beauty in the world. Discovering and staying true to their identity and self-expression is extremely important to a Type 4. This is why their core fear, which is being insignificant or fundamentally flawed, is so scary to a 4.
I just have a lot of feelings right now.
Can you feel it? You don't understand me.
They don't just want to fade away from the world, having left no impact. A Type 4's core weakness is envy. They constantly desire what others have, a better house, a cooler job, a happier family. This envy, paired with the belief that they're fundamentally flawed, makes 4s go on this never-ending quest to fill up this missing piece inside of them that other people have, and if they could just have that missing piece, things would be better. An Enneagram 4's core longing is to know that they are seen and loved for who their authentic self is. Type 5s desire to be knowledgeable and competent. They have this insatiable thirst for knowledge that stems from their core fear of being ignorant. That's why they spend so much time and energy collecting information and making sure that they're self-sufficient.
You never know when you might need to research something. I'm almost ready for lunch. Just a couple more. So pokey. Oh, I found an ant. I wonder why ants go on cacti. Did you bring your phone? I'm gonna look it up.
Their core weakness is avarice, which means that they don't feel like they have enough inner resources to meet the world's expectations of them. This means that they hoard their energy the way that a dragon hoards treasure. An Enneagram 5's core longing is to know that their needs are not a burden. The Loyalist, type 6s are methodical, responsible, and faithful people. They're the ones still using grandma's old recipe because it's tradition. Their core desire is to have security and guidance in their life, and their core fear is actually feeling fear itself. They fear that being without support or guidance will just completely destroy their well-being.
We're out of snacks? We're gonna starve to death. I see your side, but on the other hand, I also see your side. So maybe we should just ask somebody else.
6s are labeled the Loyalist because they excel at supporting others, but the one person a 6 has trouble supporting is themselves. They don't trust themselves, they don't believe in themselves, they think poorly of themselves. This ties into their core weakness, which is anxiety. When they're met with stressful challenges, 6 look at the world through worst case scenario glasses. At their core, 6s long to know that they are truly safe and secure. Type 7s, the Enthusiast, desire to be fully satisfied and happy. In their pursuit of this, they jump from one experience to the next in the hopes that one of those will finally make them feel content. They tend to be really joyful people with the ability to lift others up. The biggest fear of an Enneagram 7 is being deprived or in emotional pain. So type 7s tend to avoid boredom at all costs because if they get into that bored state, they might slip into thinking about uncomfortable feelings that they do not want to deal with.
So bored. Whose idea was it to stay home today? Homo sapien, Kitten again, hallucinogen.
At their core, 7s long to know that they will be taken care of. Type 8s desire to protect themselves and their loved ones. They may come off as a fierce warrior, but get to know them and I guarantee you they have the biggest heart of anyone you will ever meet. The core fear of an Enneagram 8 is to be weak, powerless, or manipulated. This means that in relationships, 8s tend to cover up their weaknesses so that nobody can take advantage of them. When a type 8 is in peak form, however, they are decisive advocates for justice.
Timmy said what to you? What's his address? I'm gonna go over there right now and give him a piece of my mind. What's his address? Do you know his address? Give me his address.
An Enneagram 8's core longing is to know that they will not be betrayed. Enneagram type 9s, the Peacemaker, desire to have inner stability and peace of mind. Type 9s have the unique ability to bring people of different worldviews and perspectives together.
Whatever you guys want to do. What? Did you say something? I was thinking about a dream I had. It's really raining.
The core fear of a 9 is being in conflict and losing connection with other people. The core weakness of a 9 is sloth, but that does not mean lazy. It means that they're falling asleep to their drive and passions in order to keep the peace. At their core, 9s long to know that their presence matters. After you figure out your main type, you can find your distinct type flavoring by looking at your wings. So what's a wing? Basically, your number has a relationship with the 2 numbers that are by your side. So if you're a type 3, your wing options are type 2 and type 4. When you figure out your wing, that means that you lean more heavily on that number to get you through every day, but you still have the traits of both your wing numbers easily accessible to you. Everyone uses their wings differently depending on their levels of health and their life circumstances. If you want to learn more about wings and how they shape your main type, you can check out my video all about wings right here. Within the Enneagram, there are things called triads and stances. These are groupings of Enneagram numbers who share core things in common, like how they process feelings or how they deal with challenges. The triads within the Enneagram are the interpersonal coping styles, and this relates to how you get others to respond to you and how you get your needs met. Do you move towards, away, or against people? The conflict coping styles, which is how you react when you don't get what you want. The relational styles, which is how your earliest childhood relationships form your adult expectations. And the most common one, centers of intelligence, which is how you process, react, and respond to life. I'm getting tea for this one, but when I first discovered the Enneagram, for the record, I'm an Enneagram 3 Wing 4, a lot of things about my life started to click into place. For example, I've always felt this insane drive to make my parents proud of me. And I know that a lot of people feel that. A lot of people want their parents to be proud of them. But for me, it was like this life or death feeling. Like my underlying feelings were like, if they're not proud of me, if I don't succeed, then I am nothing. I deserve nothing. I don't deserve love. I deserve nothing. And it wasn't just my parents. I mean, in college, I was so unbelievably competitive to the point that it brought out these really ugly personality traits. I was a theater major, and as you can imagine, there's a lot of competition in the theater world. And I just, yeah, my Enneagram, the negative, competitive, ugly parts of myself were in full display. And I didn't know about the Enneagram back then, but I really wish I did. So when I read the core motivations of a type 3, I was like, oh, that's me. That's why I feel this way. And honestly, it made me feel less alone to look at my driving motivations and see that there is an unhealthy place for me to be and a healthy place. Like, I had never thought about my motivations before, and so seeing them in a book looking at me like was a very vulnerable and awesome feeling. And then on a relational level, because obviously I introduced the Enneagram to everybody in my life, I was this person. Have you heard of the Enneagram? Let me try to guess your Enneagram. What's your Enneagram? Have you heard of the Enneagram? Relationally, the Enneagram has helped me and my family understand each other better. In my family, we've got a 7, an 8, 2 6s, and then a 3. So as you can imagine, it's really helpful to know each other's numbers. And then for me and my husband, we've used the Enneagram as a tool for communication, a tool for understanding each other better. I mean, it's just overall has made a huge impact on my life. First and foremost, when you're trying to find your own Enneagram number, I just recommend reading about the Enneagram. Watch videos like this, learn as much as you can, and see which numbers that you're learning about, which ones really resonate with you. After that, take an online test. Now, these are not 100% effective, and it is not the end-all be-all of like how to find your number, but I find that it can be a really helpful tool to help narrow down which numbers you might be. So I've linked some helpful tests that I really enjoy in the description down below if you're interested in checking them out. Next, look at your interpersonal coping styles or stances. We talked about this a little bit in the Triads section, but the 3 stances are assertive, dutiful, and withdrawn, and they show you how you get your needs met when you're having trouble getting your needs met. As an Enneagram coach, I use the interpersonal coping styles a lot when I'm trying to help my clients find their true type. So take a look at the 3 stances and ask yourself, do I move away from people, towards people, or against people? And if you're interested in learning more about these stances, I've linked a helpful video that I made about this in this little card right here. If you've done all these things and you're still really confused about your Enneagram type, I recommend hiring an Enneagram coach. And yes, Enneagram coaches are a thing. I am actually an Enneagram coach, so if you want to get coached by me, you can sign up in the description down below. And I've also linked some other coaches that I think are amazing in the description down below as well. I hope that in your journey with the Enneagram, you're empowered to go deeper in understanding what makes you who you are. Truly understanding your core motivations, your fears, your desires, all of those things help you in your communication. They help you in work. They help you in romantic relationships. Like, I see no downside in going deeper into who you are. If you enjoyed this video, it would mean so much to me if you clicked the like button and subscribed, especially if you want to learn more about the Enneagram. I put out new videos every Thursday. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.